It's time for today's episode of the UGA Sports Live Podcast, recorded in front of a slightly tipsy studio audience at world-famous Champy's Fried Chicken. We will have the latest on Georgia Bulldogs football, basketball, and recruiting. Watch live and send us your questions on the 11 Alive Sports page on Facebook. Be advised this podcast is off the record and not safe for work. Also, be sure to subscribe to the UGA Sports Live Podcast on iTunes and
Hey everybody,
Google
welcome
Play.
to the UGA Sports Live Podcast here from Champy's on Baxter Street, our longtime hosting facilities, Champy's on Baxter, where you can get the best fried chicken in the known universe and probably in the unknown universe too. So I don't think anybody out there on Zeta X has come up with a better fried chicken than what we have here at Champy's.
I sincerely doubt it.
So we're actually on a new Facebook page. We've jumped off from 11 Alive. We're going to be sharing it on their webpage. I will do that in just a second. But we're on 365 Game Day. We want to thank those folks for letting us come destroy their credibility. I think 11 Alive is kind of tired of that. But 365 Game Day has been one of our longtime sponsors from the very beginning. They have a huge website, so we're going to try running this show on their site for a little while, see what happens. When you need Georgia gear, we're 87 days away from this whole thing starting.
Tyler Simmons days.
Yeah, Tyler Simmons days away. We're 87 days away. You need your Georgia gear. Now's the time to get it. Swing by 365 Game Day because they have neat stuff you don't find anywhere else. I was on my way to we didn't have a show last week. I went down to Orange Beach, work on my aunt's condo, and I had a huge tumbler that 365 Game Day had given me. My drink stayed cold through Montgomery. So that's about as far as anything will last with me, as you know.
Why were you drinking and driving?
It wasn't.
I know what you
Pepper.
put in those tumblers. I know what you put in
Now,
those
when we got
tumblers.
to the beach, it was all lime juice and tequila, but we're not going to talk about that.
There you go.
I want to give a big shout-out, of course, to Athens Forward, Aaron Overhead Doors, Your Pie, Academia Brewing Company, Cable East, and, of course, 365 Game Day for letting us be on their page. Want to jump right into it with my co-host. We have Jake Roos here, who's been on the recruiting trail. While I was off at the beach, Jake was traveling all over Florida, doing interviews. Had a great piece with Mr. Braun yesterday.
Yeah. A
name you guys should know. That is a monster.
Absolutely.
But, hey, you told us about Braun before anybody knew about him. That was great.
6'6", 360. Plays state level tennis. Look, I don't know what more you want out of a kid like that.
What do you do when you have a column and you say check yes or no?
Yeah.
Check yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that your dancing bear, Coach?
Yeah, he's going to look good in red and black.
Wow. Coach throwing out an early prediction there.
Going out on a limb, man.
Of course, we also have Coach Donnan here, Hall of Fame coach, former Georgia coach. And I've got a lot of things we need, housekeeping things we need to do. But, Coach, I want to get your take right off the bat about the new enrollees. There are a bunch of guys, because we talked about this before the show. I guess the biggest things happened. There's been a couple commits. I went out of town, a couple commits. But the new the signees, are now enrollees.
One thing for the people that watch our show every year in June, we have a little bit of a kickoff show about the new guys. And what we say, they're going to be the guys that normally that in the old days would be reporting in the 1st of August, but now they get to come in June, and everybody's a little disappointed because they weren't here in January. But, like Kirby said yesterday, he said that everybody in the secondary was here all spring. All our signees were here, you know what I mean? But now all these receivers are here now to work with us. And what we'll do is just do a quick rundown. And I just went over there and what I used to call the eyeball test because these guys aren't doing anything working out wise. Most of the guys that are here are watching these kids in camp. I think they're going to start doing some 7-on-7 and stuff like that, but I don't usually go to that. But just walking around, sniffing around and looking at these guys and projecting them and seeing them. The first thing I would like to say is there's not anybody that you would say, why don't you hit the road, Jack? These guys.
Have you had some of those that you brought in?
I've had some that it would have been nice if they would have just gotten in the car and ridden back with their mom and dad, but not very often. Not very often, but, you can tell usually that you made a mistake. But but realistically, and I don't want to go overboard, but right now we bring what we're settling on for tonight's menu.
Ooh,
collard greens.
Got the soul food.
Mac and cheese, double chicken there, some okra. All that stuff is just what they have at Champy's, and it's hard for me to really get back on track here. But I would say
There's jalapeno cornbread down here.
Yeah, I got that. What I want to say is, first of all, we had a situation happen with Dwan Mathis that
Very scary.
That Roddy did a good job of making sure that everybody understood it was serious. But anytime you're talking about a situation with somebody's head and an injury like that, you always fear the worst. But I think that it really typified the type of treatment we have here with Ron Corson, who's a world-class guy on knowing what to do and getting in the right situation there and working with Piedmont Hospital. But very tenuous situation, but it looks like so I'm over there yesterday. He's walking around, and he can't really do anything just from he probably could, but they just want to be real careful with him. But thankfully, he's going to be okay. But anyhow, let's just go real quick because we got a big show, a lot of questions.
Here, I'll pop them off to you.
I think the best thing for me, instead of just trying to go from memory, just tell you what I think about him on the eyeball test.
All right, we'll talk about the crown jewel, George Pickens.
George Pickens is a big, tall guy that just gets your attention with his length and smile on his face. Really glad to be here. I know there was some question about his academics, which everybody knows everything, but he really worked hard and came through, and he's right here, and he'll have to pick up some things, but he'll be good.
George Pickens' signing day mate, 3-star tight end Brett Seether.
Seether is a little bigger than I thought. He's not quite as big as some of the tight ends we've had here, but just a very pleasant young man. Seems to be really fired up about Georgia. I'm looking forward to see what he does with his body skills, but like his demeanor, and we definitely had a need there for him and for Wolf, the tight end that transferred, senior graduate transfer from Tennessee, who again is a little bit undersized compared to some of the guys we have here, but we need him to run routes and pick up protections, and he's just a great insurance. I call him a New York life guy. He's a really good insurance guy that's going to help us because he's played SEC football and we know what he's capable of, and he's going to give us some good experience. But Charlie Warner has just had a phenomenal offseason. I think without Nauta around, he's really had to take the bull by the horns, and Coach Hartley's doing a really good job working with these guys. So I think that's going to be a position where we're going to utilize them. Coley will use them. Let's go. I'm talking a little bit too much, but those are two.
No, it's okay. We got an hour. I know you got a lot to cram in there, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, the man they call the Blueprint, the running back, 4-star out of Fort Lauderdale.
Well, we got a couple more receivers. That's what I'm on this.
Oh, you want to hop on those?
We got
Tongue, Micaiah Tongue, yeah.
We got Tongue and Blaylock and Cager. Okay, those are other three, right?
Yeah, let's go for that.
All right, well, Tongue is a lot bigger than I even thought he's going to be. I mean, I thought he was an outside linebacker-looking kid. He's a really good-looking kid, and another pleasant guy. Just seems, all those guys, you expect a little deer in the headlights, but I think for sure he's played good quality football, and he's going to be a terror on special teams, a lot like Karis Jackson. I like that kid's looks.
How about Dominic?
Mr.
Georgia
just walked in there and looked like he'd been been around forever, which he has. And I just have a good background with his dad. I was out there at Oklahoma when Mookie was playing for the Sooners and at basketball. But I like his tape, and I like the way he did in those All-Star games. And he's certainly a guy that really has the maturity to come in there and help us quickly. But that's an area where everybody's talking about, but all of a sudden you look at that room now, which the room is the word, and all of a sudden you got Holloman, and you got Landers, and you got
Demetrius Robertson.
Well, not even to mention Robertson. Those are outside guys, and then you got Robertson inside, and then Tyler Simmons and
Tommy Bush.
And then you had those four, and then I want to talk about Cager, just a very mature-looking guy. Looks a lot like Wims, has got a kind of stature about him, like I've been to the dance type guy walking around. He's not worried about coming in here to me looking like he's going to have to fit in and all that. I just feel like he wanted to be here. He knows Coley. He got a lot of confidence in Kirby. And that's a great look for us to have a guy with that kind of experience that's made a lot of plays in big games.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be very valuable for Georgia.
And then we mentioned Pickens. All right, that's those four.
All right, now let's hop in on the other new guys. Kenny McIntosh, they call him the Blueprint, out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Well, I had a chance to look at Kenny in the spring a little bit because he was up here watching practice and hung around and watched him. And he was very I liked the way he was hanging around Dell and watching the position. You know, he wasn't over there hanging out with everybody just jiving around. He was in there trying to learn what to do, and I like that. I was looking for that when a kid's visiting practice that's coming here. A lot like Fitzpatrick did 2 years ago when he was here watching spring. He was really picking up stuff. There's another guy that's really had monster gains in every area that we were able to redshirt that I think is going to really help us.
We saw a picture of him at Todd Hartley's house, and I had to do a double take.
The guy
Fitzpatrick is and you've talked about his frame for years.
It's like a before and after though what he's done with himself. Exactly. and then of course Riley Godey, I'm telling you now, that kid has got it too. Well, that's a position of strength now in the future. Then you go on. I'm really happy about Mike McIntosh, and then the dancing bear, the guy that just impresses the dog shit out of me. Excuse my language here, but it just really impresses me. It's Truss. I mean, the reason I'm saying that, I mean, what I like about a guy is if you tell him to do something and you're here with him and you're monitoring him and everything, you're going to be on him all the time doing everything. But you got a guy that's up there in Rhode Island without anybody with him. You know, he's senior year in high school. You don't know what he's doing. You give him a weight to come in because he's a little heavy, and he comes in here, and the guy comes in here at 312. And I'm telling you right now.
Wait a minute. Stop right there. 312 pounds.
Yeah, I think he was like 340 when we saw him.
I was about to say, because now Anthony Dasher had, when he wrote his story about Pickens being eligible, we had someone else say that Xavier Truss was here and he was looking svelte. You're telling me he's down to 312 pounds.
Well, the only reason I said that, I just asked one of those guys around there that said, golly, Truss really looks good. How much does he weigh? And they said, I think he weighed 312, so maybe.
That's phenomenal.
But I'm just telling you right now, he looks like, for the fans out there that aren't eating Champies today, whatever you're eating or drinking, take some of it, because he looks like the same kind of guys we got lined up at tackle right now. He looks like on the hoof. Now, it's going to take him a while, and Warren McClendon does too, and Warren's really worked hard, but he was here with everybody else
all spring,
and he had a chance to do all that, and Condon's done the same thing and all that. But I just give the kid a lot of love for being on his own and getting something. If somebody's going to, everybody can do stuff when somebody's got the hammer down, but when somebody's not around and you got to do that and be self-motivated, I just think now he's here with the pit and he's going to get all that coaching.
I do want to interrupt you for one thing and give a quick note about Georgia's offensive line, because you mentioned how they look. If you see Andrew Thomas, he looks like he should go to the NFL right now. Just has a look. Isaiah Wilson is the best.
like that when he showed up.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, but Isaiah Wilson is probably the best in shape offensive lineman I've ever seen. I mean, going back to bowling and guys like that. But I do want to say that what hit us most about Xavier Truss, we talked about this, was when we had him at the Rivals camp last year. This kid is whip smart, incredibly bright. And then you look at Condon, you look at Clay Webb, you look at those guys. Those guys are physically in great shape, but they are bright kids.
Right.
That is a bright offensive line.
And you got, same thing with Hill in there. He can play guard.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about the line, because I know we're going to have a great, and I'm trying to, my memory's not as good as it used to be, but we're going to go over all these. Why are we taking all these linemen? Hey, where are we going to put them? But think about it. For sure, Andrew, probably Wilson. Then you got Ben Cleveland, who could leave. You got Kenley, who could leave. And you got Wyatt. So you could have 5 offensive linemen be gone in December. So you better have some people rating in line. And then the next year, you got Mays, Hill, and Salyer that could all be gone. So I'm for taking 5, even 6 linemen, aren't you?
Yeah.
Let me call Kirby. Hey, Kirby, we need to. And, of course, Pittman could get them. I mean, we got those 3 tackles we're still on, right? Lindberg, Braun, and who's the other one?
Yeah, so you got Andrew Rame out of Texas. You got Chad Lindberg out of Texas as well. You got Josh Braun out of the Live Oak, Florida area. And then you've got Cedric Van Pran, who's in that guard center position out of the New Orleans area.
Well, that helps, Coach, because when you spoke to Josh.
Yes.
He said they were going to take like one or two more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, where are you going to put them?
Yeah.
You know, it's a smaller class, and you already got like three guys. You know, now you're talking about taking 5 offensive linemen.
But you got to look in the future. That's where we got.
That makes sense to me now.
But those guys,
I didn't get it.
The what if you can cover it there? All
right, I want to stick to.
Let's finish it.
Yeah, let's finish it up. This last one, we got 4 defensive linemen to talk about. Let's start off with Trayvon Walker.
Started with them. I should have started with them.
Let's start with Trayvon.
I'm telling you right now, if he walked through that door right now, you'd shine his shoes. He's what you're looking for. And he's a guy that wants to be a Georgia guy. He's hung in there, you know, and I like those guys. And, hey, this is our show, and we're going to talk about it. But he is what you got to have to win in this league. On the tape, seeing him on the hoof, I mean, if you look at that guy, it's just like we went down and saw Carter. I mean, that's what you want to do. You want those guys that get off the bus first, and they think, good God Almighty, we're going to have to play about 40 guys that look like this.
I love the kid. Trayvon Walker play for any SEC program, any program in the nation. Let's start a run on these Tennessee guys. Tymon Mitchell out of Nashville, Tennessee.
You know, Mitchell is a guy that's going to come in here and benefit from being in this kind of competition. He's going to get his body reconstructed. He's not as quite as overpowering physically looking as these other guys, but he's got good tape, and I think we got a good shot of really developing him. Everybody's not going to be a guy that's going to walk in there and
absolutely
take over, but I like his looks on the potential that Sinclair is going to redirect some of this.
Speaking of redirecting, another guy with a very rare frame, 6'6", 280, Zion Logue out of Lebanon, Tennessee.
There's a guy there, young kid. I don't even think he's 18 yet. That's just going to be a big guy. You know, he's not a Jordan Davis type physique, but he's tall, angular, but he's got a lot of weight on him you know, he could be an outside linebacker look with his height.
No doubt.
I think he's going to be this summer, I would say in 2 months, his whole upper body's going to really develop to go with his overall. I mean, and I got good tape on him too.
Yeah, great looking kid.
And we'll do a better job of analyzing this.
We'll
after
go
we
deeper
see
on
it.
it, sure.
You know, back in first of August, we'll have a chance to see these guys.
And then a guy who was a long-time commit for the Bulldogs, 6'6" DN out of Memphis, Tennessee, and that's Bill Norton.
Bill is I really like Bill's looks. I mean, he could have walked over there and been on the basketball team the way he looked. I mean, he's another good guy that just looks good, and wants to be here type guy. And he's a program guy that's going to really develop. I think down the road he could play in a lot of places here, both sides of the ball.
All right. You mentioned we touched on all 10 guys. Out of that group, is there one guy that you just say, wow?
I would say Walker.
Yeah,
I'd say Walker and also Truss, just because I was expecting a guy to come in here that we were going to have to really work hard on just to get him where he's used to the heat and everything. The guy can run. I guarantee you, the guy could be on Dancing with the Stars, man. He's got feet.
That's right. No, I agree.
And
completely.
He'll get some. He's got natural strength, but he's going to get stronger. But just outstanding effort by that kid to come in here and look like that.
Well, I mean, he's going to need it because you're coming into one of we talk about rooms position group. That is a loaded position group. And if you come with, I don't want to say, let's say 30 pounds of bad weight, it's not going to end you, but it does not help you. So you got to come in, at least he comes in equal to the guys that are there. Now it's learning, now it's reps. Well, we saw him at a couple camps, and he just wasn't really doing a whole lot of reps.
And
excuse me for interrupting, but we saw last summer, Salyer was the most highly recruited guy we had in the line, but we had Mays and Hill were here in the spring, and he just couldn't catch them because of not because of anything, but just reps, and he couldn't catch them. And Truss is going to be, in a situation with Warren McClendon. It'd be great if we can hold both these guys out. I mean, play them in 4 games, and you got these stud tackles there, and just that 4-game rule is one of the best things.
Best things happened in college football.
Awesome.
In 10 years at least.
And hey, I'll tell you another guy that just made me feel good yesterday. Devad just walking around without a brace on. Here's a guy that had. Now I'm sure if they go in when they put pads on and put it back, but he just he's like the court jester, man. He's just
hilarious,
really good kid and just happy. He's talking about all these Miami guys that are here and talking about the ones that are coming. I mean, he's a good recruit.
I was going to say every team needs a few South Florida guys for sure.
Yeah, and
well, we had a story about a South Florida guy right there on the front page.
There you
if you go to UGASports.com, 27 cents a day. You do not miss it. Speaking of people, a good deal. You need to swing by Athens Ford right now. If you go to the website, you're going to get a $500 off coupon on any vehicle. I mean, just right off the bat, just for visiting the website, go to athensford.com, and it says, would you like $500 off any vehicle? Click here, and you can get $500 off.
Who says nah?
Come on. Exactly. I do want to point out that Athens Ford was ranked number 1 for the certified pre-owned dealer in Georgia. So if you want a Ford car, you want certified pre-owned, which means they go through it and they check I got a certified pre-owned. I saw the checklist. There's stuff on there that I wouldn't think to check. And they go through this entire list, and you get a car. It is like new. It is unreal, the work they do on it. If there's anything on it that needs replacing, needs updating, they take care of it. My 2016 that I bought in 2018 looked immaculate. It drives new. I just took it to Orange Beach. Speaking of, before I left, I needed a roof rack. And I thought about that the day before I left. And I hit him up that morning and said,
typical.
Hey, can you well, exactly. I said, can you guys put a roof on? I'm leaving tomorrow. Can you put one on? They're like, oh, well, we're slammed, but yeah, come by. And here's the thing. I didn't tell them who I was. I'm not like, here, I'm one of your advertisers. I just called them out of the blue.
You don't need to tell them who you are.
Oh, please. No, the guy in the parts department had no idea who I was. But
dial.
they came in, and I drove up, and the guy's like, oh, I didn't know this was yours. I had it on in an hour. I went to lunch, came back. It was on there. I used it. The rack that I put up there, though, or the bag I put up there fell apart. That's a different story altogether. But if you want great service and a great pre-owned vehicle, get it from the number 1 certified pre-owned dealer in Georgia. If you want a pre-owned Ford certified, go to athensford.com.
All right. Great question here, and I want to get to it. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about, but I really like this question, especially coming off of talking about new guys. Ronnie Brown says, Coach, I know there's a learning curve at all positions, but considering Georgia's bringing in some young tight ends this year, and especially the next year, how big is the learning curve at the tight end position?
It's maybe a little bit tougher than say receiver, just because you're kind of in between. With what we do, you go out in the slot, and it's not like the old tight end where you just line up as a Y. You got X and then Y's in the middle, Z, and you just line up outside the tackle. But now our guy can be on the outside the tackle, off the ball, outside the tackle, back in the backfield, out in the slot, on the weak side by yourself. So locations are the biggest thing, knowing where to line up in your different formations, and they've had a chance to study all that before they got here. And then the next thing is just the technique that's involved in what you have to do. But I would say it's not mission impossible to do that over the course of this spring, this summer work. And the good thing about that situation is you don't have a lot of guys in front of them that are going to be taking the reps. If Don Blaylock was here coming in now, he would have all those guys, Miko and Terry, all those guys, but just the fact you get those reps, and we do a great job of what we call two-spot, where you have two different groups working on different ends of the fields. Like 1s and 3s will be, they'll all summer they'll take the 1s, and then the freshmen will go and work with the 1s so they can watch them, and the older guys can help coach them up, and then the 2s go down at the other end and work, and maybe some more a little bit. Help them. We really don't have a 4th team, but it's just really good teaching with our guys. You got Warren out there showing them what to do, and it's just good the way they do it.
Chris West here with another one for you, Coach. He says, do you expect the defense to be a little bit better this year, and especially when it comes to stopping the run? Do you think the defense will see an improvement?
Yeah, I think it'll be that. We've had a similar question before, but part of the reason we didn't stop the run last year quite as much is we were forcing teams to run by using our under coverage to really help our back end, with the secondary, with where we couldn't play a lot of man coverage and different man under stuff. So I think our run defense is going to be stat better because we can commit to the run a little bit because we're not going to be as worried about stopping the pass, number one. And Number two, we're going to get a lot of lost yardage plays with these edge players that we got. And our inside backers are just a lot more prominent now at taking on blocks, being confident. You know, we miss Ronnie Brown. Ronnie asked the question, but we missed, Monty Rice there a little bit down the stretch. But now we got Monty back. And then, of course, everybody knows about Nakobe Dean. And I just can't say enough about the way these guys have developed, trains and positions, Tate Crowder, and everything's not hunky-dory, but our defense athletically is going to be among the best that I've seen here, just because we don't have quite as much big guys inside, but our speed on the perimeter and our size in the secondaries, you saw in the spring game, our size and depth. I mean, you got a guy like DJ Daniels and then Stevenson that right now are backup corners. And then you got Stokes Stokes and Webb, and then you got Tyson Campbell. I mean, a couple 10-3, 10-4, 100-meter guys there at your starting corner spots. J.R. Reed and then
Ronnie Brown says he misses you too, Coach. So he was shot. Yeah, we got a couple of recruiting questions rolling in. A lot of recruiting to talk because I have been on the road a lot. Like Roddy said, we went up to the opening up in Nashville. We hit that. Came back from that. We hit I flew down to Orlando after our last show. Went and saw Jalen Carter, the new commit. Avante Williams, he's an Oregon commit, top 100 guy in the nation. Followed that up with Carson Beck, the quarterback commit for the class, and then ended in Live Oak, Florida with Josh Braun. Some great stuff from all four of those guys. Really appreciated them meeting with me. If you missed anything off of that Carson Beck series, I do encourage you, not just because I wrote it, but to go over and read it because he gave so much stuff that we broke it up into 3 stories, and he was not shy.
Typical when you talk to a quarterback.
What's that? What's that deal that they do where they follow somebody all fall?
Diary?
That on TV, what do you call that?
Yeah, like QB1.
Yeah. From what I understand, he's going to be their guy this year.
There you go. All right.
You hadn't heard that anywhere.
Georgia, that's going to be 3. That's going to be – they didn't have one last year, I guess, but they didn't follow Dwan Mathis. But that's from Fields and now
so now apparently if you commit to the University of Georgia, you get to be on the QB1 program.
Yeah, we got a good
that's what Kirby's going to be texting all these kids.
TV. But I heard that through the grapevine.
All right, so
grapevine's better than 99%.
We got some other scoop for you. You got to tease it and stay to the end of the show, but we're doing some things in this program that are stronger than 3 rows of wild onions.
Hey, before you jump in that question, I want to give a big shout out to Aaron Overhead Doors. They right now their rankings or their ratings, because we talk about 4 stars and 5 stars and guys like that. I guess the Rivals 250's out now, is it not?
The 250 dropped at noon today, yeah.
Okay. So Georgia players moving up and down in or Georgia commits, I should say, are moving up and down in the rankings. Shout out to Tate Radlich for getting his 5th star. Another 5-star offensive tackle for Georgia.
Deserves it.
We knew he was right there on the edge. What was he, ranked 30th or something?
Yeah, he was right on the edge, and then now I think he's up to 15 or something like that.
Yeah, so they got to see him, and they said, okay, this kid – they saw him go up against the best players in the nation. He threw some of them around. Now he's number 15 with a 5-star. Aaron Overhead Doors, their rating is 4.95.
Let's give him a 5.
I'm just saying that's – and here's the thing. I know that if I went to Yelp today, we could create we could go and give Champies a rating. Of course, we'd give him a 5-star. But if I'm a chicken joint across the street, I might go give him like a 1, to bring down their average. Or, Josh here could have – Josh Collins that owns a joint could have everybody on his staff go out, and they'd have 3, 10 good rankings. Aaron Overhead Doors has 540 verified nearby now reviews. 4.95. So it's not like it's not like he had his 20 employees go out and do it. 540 people have given them a 4.95 ranking. You just can't get better than that. I mean, they have all the awards from the Better Business Bureau, Gwinnett's Chamber of Commerce Pinnacle Award, Angie's List Super Service Award. I mean, every award that's winnable, Aaron Overhead Doors has won. So a big shout out to Aaron Overhead Doors for sponsoring our show and for being so effective.
Absolutely.
Major Georgia fan.
Good.
We also have a lot of questions from the dog vent, too, that we need to get
outstanding.
into.
Yeah, and I got a couple from Twitter, too.
From the dog,
David Hamansky here. David, I'm assuming you're one of our new viewers from 365 Game Day. Either that or you hadn't commented before. Anyway, thanks to all the new viewers that we get over here at 365 Game Day.
And share this with your friends.
Yes, please do. David says, is it possible for the Dogs to end up with the number 1 or number 2 class for 2020? I'll tell you this. I was a little bit skeptical of that happening prior to this last re-ranking, but I think a guy like Tate Ratledge climbing the list, I think you've got a guy in Broderick Jones who could possibly end up as a 5-star down the line, and you're in play for several 5-stars as well. So I'm not writing it off. I don't think it's impossible.
Add, Arik Gilbert.
Sure.
Running back, another.
We get Milton.
Any of them? Kendall Milton?
Zach
Evans.
Milton and Evans are in the top 15, right?
Absolutely.
I would point out, here's the thing. Right now, Clemson has 3 commits in the top 10.
Yeah.
They're looking really good. LSU is recruiting lights out. Alabama is not going to be denied. So it's going to be it's a tough road to hoe to make it to that 1 or 2. But Georgia's, I don't say their biggest guns, but their big guns have, their big targets have yet to decide. So all of a sudden you could have 5 stars.
Okay, so here's I'll just go through. Justin Flo, uncommitted, number 2 in the nation. You're in it for him. Number 3, Jordan Birch, defensive end out of Columbia, South Carolina. In it for him. Number 6, Keely Ringo, cornerback, Saguaro. Someone corrected me on that earlier. Out of Scottsdale, Arizona. You're definitely in it for him. 3
of the top 6.
Savell Smalls, you're not in it for him. But number 9,
we're not recruiting him, though.
Zach Evans, the number 1 running back in the nation, you're in it for him.
So you could have 4 of the top 10.
Then you get the 14, Arik Gilbert. Then you get to 15, right behind him, Darnell Washington, another guy they're in it with.
You could have 6
of the top 15. You get one of those two.
And then we'll just round it off with an even 20, Kendall Milton, and you are in it for him as well.
I'm just saying the point being, like I said, some of the Georgia's biggest targets have not decided yet. Right now, you're looking at Clemson way up here. You think there's no chance to catch them, but again, each one of these.
Well, you got to look at Clemson though. I mean, right out of the box, they get the quarterback, they get Murphy, and they get Breezy. I mean, that really is huge. But I think the one thing to quantify it was a good question is just look at the magnitude of these last 2 classes we have. I'm talking about the one that played last year and the one that these guys that we've just had the capsule on, plus the 14 that were here in the spring. I mean, if we can get even in the same, what's this, area code 706?
Yeah.
If we could just get in 706 with the rest of our players, we're going to be all right. We might not be ranked 1 or 2, but, boy, I'm telling you now, the guys we got here now, wow.
My guy David Hamansky says, I'm on that dog vent every day, so I'm around the insanity daily, so he knows all about it.
Speaking of dog vent, we have some questions from the dog vent. If you want to be a member of UGASports.com, it's 27 cents a day. Come on. You can afford that.
You can feed a hungry child.
Yeah, exactly. I need key lime pie. But it's even if you don't come over for the news, and again, we break all this news. I mean, there are other outlets that break a lot of news, but we break more than our fair share. And a lot of it comes from the people on the dog vent. It's the community there. You can replace me tomorrow. You can replace Dash. Well, you can't replace Jake, but you can replace anybody at UGA Sports except Jake. And I don't know the dog beat the UGA Sports would lose a whole lot simply because the best part of UGA Sports is the community there. We had a gentleman the other day. I know him. His name's Steve. He's down in Florida. He's had some medical issues. I put a link to his GoFundMe on the board. Hundreds of people giving to Steve. It's the best community in college football, bar none. Hell, in anywhere. So just to get a chance, go to UGASports.com, click on the dog event. We put up a note up there saying, hey, our normal Tuesday show, we're doing it on Wednesday. So all you people at 365 Game Day who are seeing this for the first time, we normally do this show. Go ahead and put in your calendar, Tuesdays at noon. Be sure to check it out. And we got our first question is from RDF Dog 84. He says, we tend to talk so much about impact and breakout freshmen. However, we forget about the guys already here. Which upperclassmen do you see really breaking through and having a big impact this season?
There's an immediate name that jumps out to me. I'll let you think on it for a second. To me, it's Jeremiah Holloman. I think that this is Holloman's year. I think that he's got the rapport established with Jake Fromm. They've played together for a long time, played in the Army All-American game back even in high school. So I think that he is primed for a big, big year. I think that there's no real clear-cut guy at that receiver position, and I expect that the chemistry between those two will pay big dividends for Holloman.
Go ahead and pick a defensive guy, too.
Defensive guy. You know what? I think that he talked about impact freshmen, guys that are already here. A guy that's already here, I know he's a freshman, but I think Nakobe Dean can really get in and make his impact felt early on.
I'm talking about upperclassmen. They're going to have a big impact. And I'm going to go, speaking defense, I would go with our boy Richard LeCount. Don't get me wrong. Towards the end of the season, Richard got a lot of fans jumped on him. He had a few missed tackles. They lost their minds. They don't count all the other tackles that he made and all the other good plays he had, but I think that is
that's the reason our run defense is going to be better. Is he's having to tackle guys down the field so much because we missed on pressures, and he has so many opportunities to fail because he's back there. But he's a good tackler, and Monty Rice is a good tackler. I saw on that Pro Football Focus where he only missed 2 tackles the whole year.
That's unreal.
So
that could be a guy who could really shoot up there.
So who's the other guy here? Let's go. Who's your other breakout?
Charlie Warner.
You waited to steal mine.
Yes, I finally got one.
Yeah, I like Warner and I like David Marshall. I think he's going to come back.
Oh, yeah.
Come back from that tough injury. Give us a lot of leadership, give us a lot of stability there. And he and Tyler Clark both going to really be upperclassmen that do a good job. And I also like Tay Crowder.
Tay's a good one.
Actually, we can lump both of these together because I got one from JB Fallrath over on Twitter. He says, Jay, question for the podcast this afternoon. How big of a season do you think George Pickens can have? Can he have an A.J. Green, Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Justin Ross type of freshman season where he comes close to 1,000, or do we think he just won't get enough snaps due to blocking and experience? Law Dog 16 over on the vent asking the same thing. Are we expecting an A.J. Green type of thing or with this, or a little slower approach?
I think the biggest problem he's going to have is getting on the field with the guys we have. People have a tendency – you just talked about Holloman, but I think Simmons, Karis Jackson, Demetrius Robertson, those are 4 really good players. And then you got Cager too. Yeah. If he really comes along, he can be a really big factor in the red zone and all that. But every down right now, I don't know – going to have to see it, to overcome these guys because they're better than you think. They know how to block, they do all this stuff, but he's got that kind of skill level. There's no question about it. But I think the competition at that position is going to be tough on him, and we'll see how it works. But he's definitely he's the kind of guy you need. He's going to have a great year. He'll do 1,000 here before he leaves. That's for sure, in my opinion.
In other words, not right off the bat because. I like how you mentioned it last year when somebody was asking about Jamari Sawyer and said, why is he not playing more? I think your response was, well, who do you take off the line to put him in? There are guys here already who got that spot. And, are you taking JJ out? Yeah. Are you taking out Demetrius Robertson?
But, the thing is,
he'll get to play because they rotate him. But
we got a tough road game that first game. Vanderbilt up there. They almost beat Florida last year. They looked good in the bowl game. They got some good players. They got one of the best running backs in the country, one of the best tight ends, one of the best receivers. This freshman, this transfer kid from Ball State, we don't know how he's going to do at quarterback, but this is not a lay-down game to start the season, so you're going to go with a little bit more established situation there, and then these other games at home you can build up the depth for a guy like Pickens. But he can be used in situations, no question about it. I just don't see him jumping out there and over these other guys right away. Do you?
No, I don't.
And again, incredibly talented.
He's good enough, but these guys are good.
Yeah. Question here from Andrew DC07. Is Tank Bigsby a bigger factor in recruiting now for UGA than he was?
Yeah, I'm going to go with no. And I
number one athlete in the nation.
Yeah,
now.
Definitely. And listen, a great running back, a guy that I'm very high on. I think will be very productive at the next level. A lot of people
just got invited to the opening.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people thought though that with Marshawn Lloyd perhaps committing to South Carolina, that would put Tank back in the fold. Especially maybe it would scare him away from South Carolina a little bit because they've been considered the front runners there for a long time.
They have been the front runners. We just call
You're
it.
Right. You're right. I still don't see it at at this moment. Is it later in the game? Maybe they pick things back up, but I still think that you're looking at first line, Zach Evans, the 5-star. You're looking at Kendall Milton, another 5-star. Seth McGowan out of Texas, a 4-star guy.
I always forget about
and
Seth
then
McGowan.
E.J. Smith is another guy not to write off, and that's Emmett's son.
We got the hay in the barn on those guys. I mean, they going all out for those guys.
Yeah.
And then Bixby's a good player. But I mean, there comes a point though. And we saw that last year with running back. When we didn't get the kid that went to Alabama, and we let some guys go. That maybe we could have gotten because we're setting our standards higher. And as good as everybody looked, those freshmen that I saw walking around when I was over there. Zamir White, kiss me, you fool. I mean, woo.
I'm not, and
I mean,
like I said, though,
he's a bad.
I'm not
man.
right. Take off just yet.
Cook is always going to have a small frame, but he's put together. I mean, he's really benefited from a strength program.
Yeah, don't forget, folks. I say it every time. Yeah, James Cook, he was a 5-star running back. That was rivals saying, "Look, we think this kid is a first-round talent." And some of the stuff we've seen him do with the ball in his hands, he's looked at. So,
he had a tough injury. They missed. That would have been a great learning situation for him all through the bowl game, working on that stuff. And we missed him in that game because he's. But I feel good about our backfield situation, particularly if Zamir can do anything like he looks right now.
Yeah. KCKD dog on UGASports.com. Again, 27 cents a day. $99 for the year. This KCKD has been around since the founding of UGA Sports. This is a long-time subscriber. Thank you. He says, do you think there are games being played with UF and recruiting right now? Why are so many folks who covered University of Florida recruiting so sure that Warren Brinson was a Gator?
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the fact that
Georgia troll. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. So talk to me about Warren Brinson, the fact that he committed while I was on vacation. And is Georgia jerking? Is Kirby back trolling them?
I don't think that they've got time to think about that, personally.
Do we have some water here? Just pour the water through my hand, let it hit to there. That's how long you can worry about Florida's recruiting compared to Clemson and Alabama. Those are the teams we're going against. We're not going against Florida on anybody.
Yeah, now, taking whoever you want at Florida. Them.
But I like the fact that one day he comes out and you call me up. You said, "What do you think about Brinson?" I said, "Well, I feel good about him." But he said, "Well, it's always down to Florida and Georgia." I said, "Chalk him up, man." Didn't I say that?
Yeah, no doubt.
Not because I know anything, but I like our shot. Hey,
that's the thing.
I respect Florida. I like everything. But bottom line, you know what the Gators were in the East last year? 3-3. They almost lost to Vanderbilt too. You know what I mean? They won 2 crossover games, big win against LSU. They got destroyed by Kentucky. They got destroyed by Florida. And they got destroyed at the Swamp twice by Florida and Missouri. So tell me about how strong Florida is.
I agree. It's they got something to prove on the field this year, no doubt about it.
And their recruiting is lower than Wellman right now. I mean, what's their record on that? Where do they rank right now?
Let's find out. I'll go find that out.
I'm not bashing Florida because, hey, they bashed us a long time, and we only beat them once when I was here. But I'm going to tell you what, we're beating them like a tom-tom in recruiting, like a tom-tom.
The Florida State people appreciate that, too.
And Florida State and Miami not exactly taking second fiddle to them down there.
No. They're picking it up. I think you're going to see – I'm expecting Miami to actually have a nice little run here.
Currently ranked number 8 in the nation is Florida with 12 commits in this one. Now, they did get a significant jump from a guy in this last one. Gervin Dexter really made a big climb, which well warranted. I like him a lot.
Let me ask you this. In the whole Florida –
Until Georgia steals him, too.
Both these astute guys right here will answer this. And this is a question I'm going to ask you with a multiple choice answer. How many 5-star players now, with the defection of the one kid that was signed there that left to transfer to the West Coast, how many 5-star players does University of Florida have? A, 10, B, 6, C, 3, D, none.
It's D.
I would have to go with D.
It's D. And they have no 5-star commits right now.
So How much is a reality pill?
No, and so to answer his question, I don't think that Georgia was trolling Florida. It's just that when Georgia decided that they wanted Carson Beck, they put out an offer, and he was looking at Florida, and he's like, "Oh, I want to go there."
Michael Sherman,
Georgia's like, we're going to take
Jalen Carter. Let's reach in and grab him too.
Again,
but the question is valid though. He said, why did so many Florida people feel so confident? I think what it was that Brinson pulled back from Georgia. I think people thought maybe there was some bad blood there. Maybe that
he decommitted and then he comes out and said it's between Florida and Georgia.
Yeah.
So
but see, he told me he knew he was coming back to Georgia the day after Jalen Carter committed.
I knew he was coming back to Georgia the day after he decommitted. Brinson.
Well, you and
Brinson and Daniel, same situation.
You and Trent both called it with DJ Daniel and Warren Brinson and a few others. I mean, I don't know how to put this in words, folks. Even though I get paid to write, you get a certain feeling when a kid decommits.
Yeah.
Some of them, Adam Anderson.
Yeah.
Adam Anderson decommits on G-Day. We're like, and he goes to LSU, and we're like, okay, well, how long is this going to last? Again, we said it. I remember walking into the stadium. We're like, because we got the news. We're like, okay, and you just knew he was coming back. There are certain kids that decommit. You're like, well, he's done. We'll never see him for a war.
Warren Brinson told me that he got a sign from God to commit to Georgia in the first place. I've had no one ever tell me that, and that's pretty tough to beat.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. He talked about the family feel. He said, look, I went to Clemson, I went to Florida. He said the only place that had close to the same feel, that family atmosphere, was at Florida. So he spoke very highly of Florida. He wasn't trolling them. He wasn't putting them down. But I think it was like, it's Georgia, and here's my other option. He wasn't trolling them. The coaches didn't tell him to do it. I know that there's all these conspiracy theories that Kirby's re-trolling them. No, it's not going to happen. And Vegas seems to think this game's going to be a lot closer than it is.
It could be. It could be. I mean,
it's Jacksonville.
But they've lost a lot of good players. They did. They lost a lot more players than we did.
Yeah,
and they didn't replenish them with the players we did. But I can tell you this, that Kirby Smart doesn't go around all day worrying about Dan Mullen. I promise you that.
No, but the reverse seems true. Coach, here's a good question for you. This is from Blue Ridge Jones at UGASports.com. It says, any idea on how when the UGA Athletic Association will decide to expand indoor tennis courts to a six minimum courts? I miss having the NCAAs in Athens, and it doesn't seem like this will be an option until we have that indoor court number in place.
All right, the situation is you need six courts because it just puts you at such a disadvantage because you play your first three doubles and then you got four singles, so your 5 and 6 are waiting to start. And usually our 5 and 6. And I want to congratulate Coach Jeff Wallace for just a tremendous year. They ended up second in the country, but Jokic was Player of the Year. They had a great year. They got close, but. We got right now. The money that's allocated is to redo the bleachers in the stadium. They're tearing those down and redoing that, and then they're in a fundraising deal. Some people at tennis backers met up there that are in the McGill Society met up in Atlanta this spring to work on a plan to raise the money necessary to add 6 courts over there where the other ones are. And we got to have it, though. So, the closest we're going to – next year they're playing out in Oklahoma at Stillwater and then coming back to Orlando the year after that. I don't know from that point on, but it's definitely should be a rite of passage to have them here because we know how to handle it, and the fans are great. And even though the other teams don't like it, because of the advantage we got, they don't. All of them say there's nothing like playing here in Athens.
You got the Hall of Fame here. You've got just the legendary matches that have come through Athens. These longtime coaches, they enjoy coming to Athens. It's almost not. I don't want to say it's the same as going to Omaha with baseball, but it ain't far off. So get a chance. And
that's a good question.
Blue Ridge had a second question. It says, when it comes to football, how healthy are the older guys on the defensive lines after injuries last year, and what happened with Tyler Clark last year? He was a man-child the year before and then kind of disappeared to an extent.
Well, a little bit of the scheme. He was moving around a little bit. And David Marshall is the one that's had the Liz Frank injury and missed the rest of the season. We hurt his depth and the fact he added our depth in, and he's just a player. He makes plays. He's aggressive and a good leader. I think our D-line, with the addition of some of these younger guys, Trayvon Walker coming in, I think, and hopefully Davis is going to be better, after that back injury. I think our defensive line is going to benefit because our inside backers are going to be able to penetrate and run some schemes off the C gap, B gap, run through the A area. I like our defense right now. I think our defense is going to be markedly better than it was last year. I'd say biggest room in the world, room for improvement.
There you go. There you go.
I do want to hit on OU Herschel Walker, one of our big friends. He says, this question came up earlier, of Van Pram, Ryan, Braun, and Lindberg, how many would we be able to take? Why would we take any of the forwards commitment today? Or would we take any of the forwards commitment today? And what would be the pecking order in as far as who we would like the most among those four?
Okay.
So Van Pram, Rame, Braun, and Lindberg.
All right. I'm going to go with, first off, the question of how many do you take. I think that Georgia takes two more. In this class, and
agree,
possibly even a third. I mean, that's not out of the question.
We could get into a situation there,
yes,
where it's kind of like a draft. Hey, you got a guy like that, you can't turn him down. And maybe give up on a position that maybe we got a little not worry about next year, and then maybe refortify it in the next class. But you're talking about world-class guy, 4 world-class guys, and you got 2 potential 5-stars with Ratledge and the other
Broderick,
kid, and Broderick Jones. So, man.
I think that the pecking order, at least in my opinion, I think it goes Braun first because I think he's your first priority. He's the guy soonest to commit, and he's a guy who they really like. I think that Braun is number 1 on there. Right behind him, though, I'm going with Chad Lindberg because I think that Lindberg, he's a Rivals
he's a top 100, isn't he?
He was a top 100. I got to check where his ranking is now.
Yeah, he was yesterday.
But he is a super smart kid, one of these 4.3 GPA kids, 6'6", 290, gushed about his visit, said they believe I can do everything they need to be an elite SEC offensive tackle. After that, I'm real split on this one, but I'm gonna go with Rame just because I think Andrew Rame, they feel maybe that they've got a better shot with him because Van Pran's got that LSU offer, and it's so hard to pull those kids out of
hard
New
to get
Orleans.
them out of. But see,
I love Van.
The thing I like about Ram
too.
Is everybody understands that University of Oklahoma had 5 linemen drafted this year. They either were drafted or free agents, okay? Yep. And they lost a lot of good players. This kid committed to Oklahoma in December. And then knowing what they got and who they lose and all that, he decommitted, and he's up in the air, and we got a shot. And this is a big-time player. You probably not read about him near as much as you have some of the ones around here. But, I mean, when you got the O-line like Oklahoma, I mean, they're close to us. And I know next year I just saw a thing where a guy rated Michigan's O-line the number 1 in the country, which I don't know about that compared. Did anybody watch the Ohio State game? But, you got Michigan, Oklahoma, Georgia. Those are going to be every year offensive linemen that's right up there, aren't they?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And here's a guy that committed to Oklahoma that we got a heck of a shot at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I want to give a big shout-out to Academia Brewing Company. We're drinking their beer, knocking back their skull, which is one of my favorites. I was drinking a Beta Andigator on the beach, and one of our friends is like, "Oh, so you couldn't find good beer?" And I'm like, "Look, I took a bunch of I stopped by Academia on my way to Athens Ford, out on that same road, and I picked up some of their Noctua. And I'll tell you, the first day I was on the beach with that Noctua, it knocked me on my tail. So that is some good stuff. And then I had a couple of their Hunker Downs. We have the Hunker Down Brown here. They just had another canning party. They are putting out cans that's being sold left and right. When you get a chance, you need to pick up some of the Academia beer. Also, if you want to go have a good time, go out to Nacho Libre Movie Night at Academia Brewing Company on June 8th. They have 2 showings, one at 3 o'clock and one at 8 o'clock. They have loaded nachos and street corn. Again, they have a chef out there. It's not just a beer company. It is one of the best restaurants in Athens. When people come to town, hey, where do I go eat? I'm like, how many people are in your party? I got about 6. Okay, it's going to be tough to get 6 people to agree on what they want to eat. send them to academia. Everybody can get something different. It's all top of the line.
Or while we're on the subject, hop out here on Wednesday night at Champy's. It's soul food night. 2 pieces white. You got the fried okra, the collards, the mac and cheese, and, of course, what I'm going to eat first as soon as we get done, and that is the jalapeno cheese cornbread. So Wednesday nights here at Champy's.
UGASports will be looking for a new recruiting writer if he eats that jalapeno cornbread.
Hop out here and put in a visit with him.
Also, you get a chance. I noticed that I had 4 or 5 people hit me up and say that they had tried your pie for the first time. So I really appreciate it when you folks do that on Twitter, because then I forward it to our friends over at Your Pie and Academia, let them know what they're doing.
Let your friends know you're smart too.
Exactly. And we've had people raving about Your Pie when they go in. Again, it's the best pizza you can get. They custom make it for you. It takes 2 seconds to tell them what you want on it. By the time you're done paying for it, you've gone and gotten your drink or your beer or whatever, and you go sit down. They're usually there at your table within 1 or 2 minutes to hand you a freshly cooked personal pie that is just the best tasting pizza you will ever have in your life. Guarantee it.
You get all those different types of choices on your the crust too. I like that.
Gluten free, they got it. Wheat, they got it. You want a sandwich, you got it. And then they have gelato, whatever you call it.
It is gelato.
Gelato. They have the ice cream out there that you can get that is fantastic. They make it there. So we get a chance, swing by Your Pie. Another quick question that we had from CRF the third at UGASports.com. He says, why don't you do the podcast more frequently so I don't feel compelled to listen to another UGA football-related one? Give us 3 new sponsors, we'll do another podcast.
Yeah, and I like the once-a-week format, too. We can pack a lot of stuff in.
We might do a little bit more during the season.
During the season, we're thinking about adding one that's just like X's and O's, like maybe on Thursday.
And the thing about ours is we don't go off the wire and whatever's on the wire. I mean, ours is off.
What's the latest outrage today? Let's talk about Dan Mullen again. Or let's talk about the Georgia-Florida game.
This may surprise you to learn. We literally make this up every week. We sit down with no plan and we just begin talking.
This on the cuff. There's a difference between being off the cuff, on the cuff. But I think
that's not an exaggeration, folks.
I like the questions, though. We want to make the fans happy, and hey, whatever you want to know, we could try to answer. But
I'll tell you a couple things, just a couple quick thoughts from me from all these recruiting trips I've been on. Jalen Carter, Georgia has to keep that kid in the fold. That's an absolute stud. This is a kid who, game-changing frame. His coach down there at Apopka said, I had college coach come through and say this kid is a future top 10 pick in the NFL draft.
What? He's going to opening, isn't he?
6'6". Yeah, he'll be there. 6'6", 305 pounds.
Can dunk.
Just everything. Talk about making your mouth water. He'll do it.
I tell you one thing. When we got an intramural basketball team here and we're going to have Trayvon Walker and this kid playing on the same team, a lot of these fraternity boys aren't going to show up.
Who's got next? Nobody. Nobody. So
Trayvon could have played college basketball.
What, didn't he get an offer?
Yeah, Auburn.
There you go. We have another question from Platinum.
That was just another way for them to offer more money. We give you twice as much if you play basketball. I shouldn't say that. Go ahead.
Platinum Glove 13 asks, I'm extremely curious. Every year in spring and fall camp, we hear about a handful of incoming freshmen that look like world beaters. However, more often than not, they end up being solid but not spectacular. And like clockwork, this spring, Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith were making big splashes. But something about these two in particular just sounds or feels different. Do you all as a group think they will actually be breakout freshmen that live up to the hype, or more of what history tells us they will be? Which is serviceable, but not necessarily a big impact.
It's always tough to project, and everybody has a tendency to overrate the younger guys and don't go on your older guys. But in the case of Nolan Smith, he's the number 1 player in the country on defense. Yeah. And Jermaine Johnson was the number 1 JUCO guy. So they're not up there because of any reason except what they deserve. And then Nakobe Dean, one of the top players in the country at inside backer. We need players more at inside than we do on the perimeter there. But we've got some packages now. We've talked about the defensive ends. We got stacked up like club sandwiches. All those guys out there, Anderson, Cox, Walter Grant. Just keep on talking about them. a larger, those guys.
Aziz, yep.
And so now we've got a way where we can go to a little bit of a 4-3 look and put guys on both edges and maybe put another backer in there and take an inside guy out. So you're not just confined to having 5 guys play one position now, but that'd be more of a pass rush type deal or nickel, duo type thing where you use those guys. But to answer his question, those guys are going to live up to their hype because they're good players, but we got a need there, and we got the overall situation with Dean where it's harder to play inside backer because all the checks, all the stuff. But this guy is a Phi Beta Kappa knowledge-wise off the field and on the field, so he's like a Jake Fromm type guy on defense, that can just pick it up quick. So I would say both of them are going to be more than contributors.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at when I think inside linebackers, Monty Rice and Tate Crowder, that's a pretty good duo. But we rotate those guys out a lot. And if you put Nakobe Dean in there for one of those guys,
and we got two 5-star type players, too, that aren't even mentioned there in Tyndall and Quay Walker, that both have been here for a spring and a half now, and I think both these guys will come on strong.
I've got to give a shout-out to Nolan. The reason that I think he makes an impact over some of these other guys, unafraid, comes into this confident, a guy with a lot of juice. He gets in there. He's going to bring the energy to the field. He's going to up the level of the play of those guys around him. I think that he can get in and make a big impact.
Let me tell you something. If you just walked out to practice and walked over to the field and looked at everybody and walked around to every position and came back and said, pick out 5 guys that looked the part, anybody that went out there would say Nolan Smith would be in that 5.
I was going to say you'd have a hard time. You'd have a hard time narrowing it to 5.
No, I'm just saying, though, that's what his physical presence.
No question.
You might not go past the outside linebacker group.
Yeah.
Here's my 5.
Yeah.
That's a good room there.
That's a good room. Well, speaking of room, I think we're out of room. I think that's about all the time we have for this week's show. Jake's got to get back to work. I got to finish
next week
beer.
I need to talk about some innovations in the program that I was going to talk about today, but we'll talk about.
I got a bunch of recruiting still to touch on.
Yeah, we got recruiting, but some things that we're doing to amplify the program that you wouldn't find anywhere else, but we'll talk about it next week. That's a tease.
That's called
Good
a tease, folks. See, there's a professional.
Good to be back.
Yeah. And then and then I guess maybe I can take a vacation next week and just let you guys run the show.
Again?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Tuesday at noon. Remember, next Tuesday at noon we'll be back here. 360 Georgia Bulldogs 365, Facebook.com/DAWGS365. That's where you can find us these days. Make sure to bookmark that, get it in there.
Yeah, like their page.
Yeah.
They do great work there. And
Most
again,
of you already have.
Carson, who runs that page, good friend of the site, good friend of the show, good guy to talk with, big Georgia fan, or he would not have 365 game day.
That's nice of him to do that.
Yeah. So
how many people watched it today so far?
We did pretty well on it, yeah.
Our numbers just under a bajillion.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Athens Ford, Aaron Overhead Doors, Your Pie, Academia Brewing Company, Cable East. Thanks to Robert Wall out in Statham for sponsoring the show.
Wednesday night, come over here and get this tonight.
Yeah. And of course, Champions and 11 Alive. Yeah, so that's it for this week's show. We got some soul food to eat. Y'all take care.
That's it for this episode of the UGA Sports Live Podcast. Tune in next week for more Georgia Bulldogs news and notes from Athens.